Yo, what up? It's me, here to tell y'all about the Game of the Year 2023 nominees. Because, hey, you know the rundown we did this last year. I'm trying to make this a bit of a quicker, rundown of all the nominees for Game of the Year. Because, unlike last year, where it was like, what, Stray, Requiem, God of War Ragnarok, Sonic Frontiers, a whole bunch of shit like that. I played 2 out of the 6 nominees, right? That's 1/3. That's at least somewhat good. Unlike last year, I only played 1 of the games that's up here this year. 1 out of 6 nominees, I only played 1. Well, I guess I played the demo for 1, but it doesn't really count. And by the way, this is my second time recording this video because I recorded it and my microphone was muted the whole time. Anyway, number 1, first up, Alan Wake 2. Now, this is one of the ones I haven't played. I might as well just tell y'all that the one I did play is at the very end, right? So, anyway, Alan Wake 2. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard plenty of good things about the first game, and people were really excited. People were, they were clamoring for a second game. They were clamoring for a sequel because apparently the first game was great. And when people saw that announcement for a second game, everyone was excited. Everyone that played Alan Wake at least. Because I remember I saw it, I was like, huh. I bet those Alan Wake fans are really gonna love this one. Because I heard some things about Alan Wake. So I heard the game was pretty good, so I can assume that Alan Wake 2 is pretty solid, right? It's most likely a solid game, but I just haven't played it. I haven't gotten around to playing it yet. So I can't in good faith say if it is or isn't Game of the Year material, but compared to the other nominees, it probably wouldn't win. Next up.
Nigga, what the fuck is this bullshit?
I know absolutely nothing about this game. I think there was a controversy about it from something, maybe like pronouns or racism or something. I don't remember. With the pronouns thing, I'm not too sure because I feel like I'm confusing it with Starfield in that regard. But, maybe that's just me. I feel like there was some kind of controversy, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was about. But with that being the case, I know even less about this than Alan Wake 2, so I definitely can't say if I think it's Game of the Year or not. But, yeah, there you go. Next, Resident Evil 4 Remake. My question is, why is a remake in the running for Game of the Year 2023? That's my only question. Because if you wanted to give Resident Evil 4 Game of the Year, you should have went back to 2001 or whenever this game was released and gave it Game of the Year of that year, not this one. Now you might be like, well, it's a remake. It wasn't made in 2001 or whenever the fuck Resident Evil 4 was released. And you know what? You're right. But at the same time, it's a remake. Like, the game itself, you just took the game that released 20 years ago and, gave it a nice, spruced it up with a little HD coat of paint. It's a remake of a game that already existed. That doesn't mean that it should be Game of the Year. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a solid game. I played the demo. It was very fun. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying it's not. It's a game that shouldn't be hailed as Game of the Year because it's a fucking remake of a game that came out 2 decades ago. Is all I'm saying. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it definitely should not be Game of the Year because of the fact that it's a remake and not an original game. But anyways, moving on. Super Mario Wonder. Now, as a Nintendo nigga myself, you might think I'm a bit biased. Might call this game of the year. Actually, no, I wouldn't. Because if I'm being real with you, I think that another 2D Mario game, just a little bit lackluster. I don't really think that, it should be game of the year, considering that we already had a 2D Mario game on the Switch. New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Which obviously was New Super Mario Bros. U repackaged. Why didn't you give that game of the year? Personally, I don't think this should even have a shot at being game of the year. Why? Because it's a 2D Mario game. Like, I'm not disrespecting Mario's 2D catalog. I'm just saying that if it was like a Mario Odyssey 2 or something, I would definitely consider it game of the year material. But as it stands, nah, I don't think it's game of the year material at all. It's a 2D Mario game in 2023. I don't think that it's really gonna be that great of an option for, maybe it's just me though. I mean, with New Super Mario Bros. DS, it came out after, 2D Mario had been absent for like a decade maybe at that point, especially on the handheld. And with Wii, they took the framework of DS and transformed it into what's basically a couch co-op version of the same game. That's all they needed to do, really. They just gave it a little bit of a makeover, made it look better, and made it 4-player. That's all they really needed to do. And with New Super Mario Bros. 2, which is the worst one, you can fight me on that, they just made another one with a very stupid name considering it's a third game. What I think they were going for was that it's the second handheld New Super Mario Bros., which is why it's called New Super Mario Bros. 2. But even with that logic, that's still dumb because it's not the second one. It's the third one. And then you had New Super Mario Bros. U that came out the same year, most likely just to coincide with the Wii U's launch, so you could have a nice average Mario game to throw in there with your Nintendo console at launch. Because what's a safe bet with a Nintendo console at launch? A 2D Mario game. That's really all you need. Just a Mario game in general, actually. Except the Switch didn't get one. It got one in the same year, though, so, I'll count it. But then, instead of making something like Wonder back in, I don't even remember, 2019, or, Jesus Christ, my voice. But they just ported New Super Mario Bros. U to the Switch. And, I was sure that's all we were going to get until the next console. But no, then they announced this game. It's like, okay, I guess. See, if Mario RPG and its remake was up here, I would maybe give it another go. If it was an Odyssey 2, I would give it another go. Another look at Game of the Year material. But as it stands, nah. I mean, it's even with that, it's going up against our next nominee. So it probably wouldn't have won anyway. But speaking of our next nominee, Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, I haven't played it. My Switch has been sitting in silence for the last 2 fucking years. I haven't bought anything new for that Switch in so goddamn long. I ignore it so bad for my PS5, you have no idea. But yeah, besides that, with that being the case, it's Tears of the Kingdom. Breath of the Wild made a generational fucking run in 2017 at the Game Awards. It fucking won Game of the Year. Even against Mario Odyssey. And Mario Odyssey is leagues better than Mario Wonder could ever hope to be. And we're going up against Breath of the Wild's sequel. I mean, it's not even going to be close. But as someone who's played Breath of the Wild a countless amount of hours on both Wii U and on Switch, I'm just saying, I probably know a good deal about Tears of the Kingdom and its gameplay on most fronts, so I can say it's solid off rip. Obviously, there's new stuff in there, and obviously a new story I haven't experienced having not played the game and all, But I mean, all I'm saying is it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild, the game that won Game of the Year 6 years ago. So, you know, there's a nice chance it'll win. You know, it's I haven't played it, but I can reasonably assume it's very solid. But moving on to our last nominee, my personal pick for Game of the Year, Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I'm sure you saw this coming. You can literally see the gameplay in the background. But, I mean, compared to every other option for Game of the Year on this list, I firmly believe that Spider-Man 2 deserves it more than anything else. See, I think that Tears of the Kingdom and Spider-Man 2 will probably be neck and neck for it. Because, I mean, of all of these options, the top three will probably be Mario Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom, and Spider-Man 2. In that order. And with that being the case, I just think that Spider-Man 2 deserves it the most. I mean, trust me, there's been plenty of people that have tried to discredit this game for one reason or another. Saying it's basically a reskin of the first game, saying that there's pretty much no changes from the first game, saying that there's nothing new, blah blah blah. And I couldn't disagree more. I honestly do believe that this game is a fantastic evolution of the first one. They added in the wingsuit, which is a wonderful addition. People were trying to call this game unoriginal and not creative, but it's the first Spider-Man game ever, I'm pretty sure, to ever have the wings and the web wings in it. You know, something that's been part of Spider-Man's arsenal for the longest time and has never made an appearance in a Spider-Man game ever, I'm pretty sure. This was the game I had to pick up on October 20th. It was either this or Super Mario Wonder. And considering I've been waiting since Miles Morales for this game, I had to pick it up. It was a no-brainer. This game is amazing. This game, in my honest, humble opinion, completely and honestly deserves Game of the Year. But hey, that's just me. Now, I hope y'all do watch the Game Awards tomorrow in my next video. If I'm wrong with my predictions, my prediction second runner-up will be Super Mario Wonder. Runner-up will be Tears of the Kingdom, and Game of the Year will be Spider-Man 2. If I'm wrong, I will admit it. If I'm right, I'll be gloating about it in my next video, whenever that is. Believe that. You better believe it. But, yeah. So I'm going to see y'all later.